Your Mr. Dawson loved writing. He had his daughter Isabella make lists of our words. And when I died, I was buried outside the cemetery, and old Jimmy got real mad. He wrote to the newspapers. He wrote letters to his people. Then he put me under a rock with the words, Wombeetch Puyuun, last of the tribe.
Where are you?
I'm here, in the meering of Kilingitnga, amongst strangers. And words, they're a bit quiet.
It is how we remember our dead.
But if I'm the last of my tribe, who will remember me? Let me tell you how I want to be remembered. Once upon a time, there was a place.
That sounds like you're telling me a story.
Parit.
Water. The waters are singing like a Scottish lullaby.
Water is a song of no words.
I can write it down.
You're not listening. These aren't words you can carve into stone. The voices of this water and this land are endless. This is time itself.
Usually over summer, these wetlands dry out completely. When the autumn break comes, the rain saturates the soil and eventually it runs off into these swamps. They're either at a place where a lava flow stopped, or they're a flat point where the wind blowing across the surface of the dry soil has blown it out and caused a lunette to form on one side. And in this little region, there's a swamp about every square mile or so. When these systems wet up, the plants germinate first, and they germinate within hours of water becoming present on the seed bank. Pretty soon after that, the egg bank starts to hatch, and you get all of the small crustaceans and worms and other invertebrates hatching out of the egg bank. There are a lot of smaller things like ostracods and copepods that eat the microscopic plants and that are in turn eaten by larger animals. And these are the things that hatch out of the soil. They can survive drought for years and years at a time. When the soil gets wet, up they pop. And they start doing things, they start living, they start eating, they start looking for mates. The plants start photosynthesizing and growing and dividing, reproducing, defending themselves against predation, defending themselves against viruses and bacteria. They produce mucilage, they produce starch. There's just a really busy life going on in the swamp. It's not visible to most people. What's in the soil in these swamps is really important. It's the beginning of the food web.
He's gone. Pick up eels, take out the fish.
After you've worked the water for a while though, you pick up where the best spots are, and that makes it a little bit easier. You start to develop a system for what to do with regards to what sort of conditions are in place. And running waters are always go to. They love running water, whether it's just drains running in, runoff off the road, even a paddock just with a little bit of water trickling down off the flats. They'll all flock to that. And that's how they end up in all the swamps and dams and things all over the country. We used to fish predominantly from the spring floods whenever they occurred, sort of through to around March, April, May, depending on how the season's going. A lot depends on the temperature, water temperature, so how warm the year is. You do catch eels during the winter, you just don't catch the quantity. So you just got to do a lot more work to catch the same as what's going on at the moment. Really, you just got to do even more work to catch a volume of eels to keep the markets going. Each day I'd get up nice and early. I'd drive up to Lake Bolac from Camperdown, and then basically I run around all the nets. Each net you go through, you then got to go through the eels and grade out the stuff that's marketable, like either the big live export size or the smaller smoker size, and throw all the too small for market size stuff back in there to on grow. I do that every second day. On the other day I'm usually fishing down here in Camperdown for restock, and we just run that back up to Bolac or Bunningdong, whichever water we're stocking at the time, and then you put them in there for a couple of years. Quite enjoy having the birds and stuff around. The pelicans start following you around and you get all sorts of things like that. You see a few turtles, and I've seen some platypus and that mucking around when you've been running up to clear a net. You see platypus sort of just splashing around, and you might set a net near a swan's nest. Initially they're all a bit worried about you, and then after a while they get used to you and they just sort of get up, have a look, and then you go back to sleep basically. So you do see quite a lot of wildlife. Driving around you see heaps of water, lots of little lagoons and swamps and little lakes that you've never seen before. Go back to grow out. The Director of Fisheries came out with me one day and he asked me how long it takes me to run the lake. And I said, well, it depends on how nice the day is. I really enjoy it, and even now, even doing the extra work, I can't see myself stopping.
Farming's another way of life. It's, you're there for the love of the work really, and I like sheep and like wool, and every season's different, every year's different. What you do one year doesn't work the same the next year, it's different again. It's a challenge really. It's nice when the weather's on your side and everything goes well. Not many young people sort of coming home on the farm or staying home on the farms to help out type of thing. It's just hard to get good labour that can handle wool, and it's hard, finding it hard to get them. They're there and then they can run out. Like I want my son to come home on the farm, but he wants to get a job. All his mates got good jobs, and they're going to where they can get a good income and where the money is really. I don't know where it's going to be in 50 years, I'd hate to think really.
steadily on the rise, because once everyone has a bit of a look around the area, you don't have to go very far to find a bad road. It's very hard to go to find a good road anywhere. So the demand is slowly increasing for quality product. It's on the up and up. This fine stuff is what all the dairy farmers prefer, putting down on top of their cow tracks as a bedding type scoria. Plumbers use it for packing around the pipes and laying pipes. It'll hold its own weight in water virtually. Probably going back 30 years ago, the level would have been up to the height of that pine tree up the top there, up on the side of the bank. Yeah. So there's been a hell of a lot of stuff go out, even just in my time I've been in here working here. Well, everyone's sort of worried about the quarries running out. Once this is stopped, there'll be no more drainage scoria coming out of here. And this one the Optimum made 99% of all the drainage scoria used in the local area, because it was a far superior stone to all the other quarries around. Come this time next year, we won't be able to supply any of it from here. It'll all be gone. The resource is gone and used up.
Well, if you take from when the first recorded instance of a Wills family being a farmer, it was 1415, just out of Lustley in Devon. They took up the first tenancy of Willmead Farm, and in fact the name Will in those days was from Willmead, so the name Wills comes from the farm name, and it's a continuous line of farmers to my brother, and so that's kind of 595 years of farming which has come to a stop. Our family farm was sold up, and I managed to nab some of the equipment for the forge and give it here. So it would be a bit of our family stuff remaining here in Bolac after the family had left. This bellows was from the farm. It would have been used in much the same way that bellows there was used. This hand forge is a little forge. Again, you'd get the air moving by turning this handle, and that would light the coals in this. And so it was a small forge that you could use for small jobs, and it came off the farm too. Although I can't claim that that's my grandfather's, because I know for sure that Dad replaced this. So it's a bit like my grandfather's shovel. My grandfather replaced the blade and my father replaced the handle. The Wills came across from Moonambell in the mid-1890s, looking for land that could be used for broadacre farming. And the two brothers camped under canvas for years while they cleared stones and put it under crop. And once they'd paid off their loan, they then purchased the block of land here at Lake Bolac, on which the bluestone sheds, which had been built by the Moffats in the 1860s, we think somewhere around 1865. After 100 years of the family being on the farm, it's not so much that the family is going to be moving away from the farm, it's more that the continuity of the story of the farm is going to be lost, especially since it hasn't been bought by another family. So it's not going to be run as a family farm. It's been bought by a company from Melbourne who'll put in managers, and they'll use contractors and so on for the work. So that the stories about, say, the building of the bluestone shed, or about the fire in 1950 that was saved by the holding paddock and the two-chain fire break, they'll be gone. And my grandfather, when he took over the farm, employed a lot of the locals who had been around when the bluestone sheds were built. So the continuity remained when my grandfather bought it. But that continuity is now broken, and those stories will be lost.
I've had some great feelings standing here. Yeah. But it makes you feel proud. I come here quite a lot actually. I bring my grandkids here and just to have a look, just to show them here. Like, it means a lot.
Kang,
Hill,
Karwan,
grass,
Mari,
rocks,
Iolora,
lava,
Kang,
hill,
Mari,
rocks,
Karwan,
grass,
Parit,
water,
Kakateran,
sisters of the sun, stars,
Kakateran,
your words have no echo. They soak into this land like water. Buruduk.
Wind.
Did I say that in English? What tongue am I speaking in?
What matters is to speak the language spoken here.
The tongue of water, of lava, of wind.
The tongue of wind.
What are you doing? My father's lists.
Once upon a time, there was a place.
Well, I think great-grandfather put this here. He didn't want them to be down in the swamp and left to rot. He wanted them to be here, the grave and the memorial, because the Aborigines were here long before us and they were not to be forgotten. They were part of Australia. We must remember.
Camp it down, George. Isabella Dawson.
are you?
Wule, Kitawanda.